はい、Lesson 4で we're going to study the difference between doing something at a time and doing something for a particular length of time. And so that's what I want to cover in this video. In the background, you can actually see a really, really old style of sundial that is in Miyajima, actually, in Hiroshima-ken. We can go into this later when we learn some of these kanji, but this is essentially the 12 zodiac animals representing each of the 12 hours of the day. はい。では、in here, we can talk about first a sentence that we're more familiar with. So, 昨日8時に寝ました。8時に寝ました means I went to bed at 8 or I went to sleep at 8. はい。いいですね。Very nice early bed. で、昨日8時間寝ました。So instead of に, if I say 間, then I don't mean that I went to bed at 8. Instead, I mean I slept for 8 hours. So 間 is how long we do something. So 8時間寝ました. Now notice that I do not say 8時間に. I can't combine the two of them, right? That makes no sense in English or Japanese. So I slept for at to be in on 8 hours. You don't just combine all of the little words together because you think you need more grammar. That's not how language works. Instead, it's either 8時間寝ました. I slept for 8 hours, or 8時に寝ました. I went to bed at 8. But I can put something after kan if I needed to. So for example, 昨日8時間ぐらい寝ました would be for about 8 hours. And this gurai is exceedingly common. So it's good to know that I can add that after. We're not beholden to exactly 8 hours and not 7 hours and 59 minutes or something. But speaking of minutes, I can actually include minutes as well. So if we say 1時30分に勉強しました, I mean I studied at 1:30. So that's the time when I started studying. But if I just say 30分勉強しました with no ni, or 30分間勉強しました, then that can mean for 30 minutes. So with pun, I don't even need kan actually. As long as I just don't have ni, that's how long I did something. I can take out ni, and pun or fun on its own can mean for that amount of time. But if I do insert kan, that's okay as well. で、1時間, I can add the and a half after kan as well. So 1時間半 and a half, 1時間半ぐらい勉強しました for about an hour and a half in this particular case. Okay, so that's essentially all of the different forms that we can get out of this length of time. But let's delve a little bit into this because we used to have hachiji goro, right, at about 8 o'clock. And now we have this new word gurai, and we translate this also as about. And so people get kind of confused about what the difference between them is. Goro, you can imagine that I'm pointing to a specific time, but I don't really have an exact measurement. So I say, well, at about this time. Whereas gurai says about how much of something there is. So gurai is really kind of like this, like about this duration, or about this much, about this many, whereas goro is at about a particular time. Now, in modern day Japanese, gurai is sort of taking over everything. So instead of saying goro, hachiji goro okimashita, I woke up at about 8, people can even say hachiji gurai ni okimashita, but that's considered bad by Japanese grammar Nazis. So they have a small aneurysm every time you say that. And so instead, when you're talking about at a specific time, we say goro, whereas for a particular length of time or a particular amount, then we say gurai. はい。はい、例文を一緒に読みましょう. Oops, I guess I showed you the answer to number 2, but you can pause the video here to see number 1 and number 3. What would you say in Japanese, or sorry, in English for this one? So, 金曜日に3時間ゲームをしました. 昨日何時間ジムにいましたか? How long were you at the gym yesterday? So, how long, 何時間, for how long, ジムにいました, were you at the gym? Versus, 昨日何時にジムにいましたか? What would that sentence be different? Okay, so まず1番、金曜日に3時間ゲームをしました. I or somebody, we assume that this is 私は, and I'm just not saying that, but we could say a different person, played video games for 3 hours on Friday. ということですね。で、昨日何時にジムにいましたか? what time or when were you at the gym yesterday? So when were you at the gym? 何時に versus 何時間 for how long were you at the gym? はい。ということです。では、一緒に使ってください。